I didn't find out in the dramatic way. No arguments, no big reveal. It was a document left too openly on the dining table. A printed copy, slightly misaligned, like it had been read more than once. I wasn't even looking for anything. I just noticed my sister's name where I expected both of ours. I read it twice. Not because I didn't understand it the first time, but because I thought maybe I'd missed something. I hadn't. The house, our house, at least in the way I had always thought about it, was legally hers now. Signed, finalized, quietly done. I put the paper back exactly where it had been. Same angle. Same position, like nothing had shifted. But something had. I didn't bring it up immediately. I waited until later that evening when my mother was in the kitchen, moving through the same routines she always had. Familiar motions, uninterrupted. I saw the paperwork, I said. She didn't stop what she was doing. She replied, like I'd mentioned something minor. It's taken care of. That phrasing stayed with me. Taken care of. For her? I asked. Now she looked at me briefly. She deserves it. No hesitation, no explanation attached to it. I nodded once, more to myself than to her. And me? It wasn't confrontational, just a question that had been waiting longer than I realized. She held my gaze for a second, then looked back down at the counter. You were always the disappointment anyway. There was no anger in how she said it. That's what made it land. If she'd raised her voice, I could have responded to that. If she'd softened it, I could have questioned it. But this was just stated, like a fact she'd settled on years ago. I didn't argue. There wasn't anything to argue with. Because in that moment, I understood something that had been forming quietly for a long time, that this wasn't about the house. The house was just the clearest version of it. Roles had already been assigned. Mine just hadn't been explained out loud until now. I went home that night and sat at my desk longer than usual, not thinking about what to say next, thinking about what I had been doing. The mortgage had been paid off years ago, but the house still ran on a system I'd built around it. Utilities, maintenance, small repairs, things that don't feel significant individually but add up to stability. I had been covering most of it, not because anyone forced me, because it was easier than watching things fall behind, because stepping in felt simpler than asking why I was the one stepping in. I opened my laptop and looked at the accounts. Everything was still active, still running exactly as it always had. That was the part that didn't sit right anymore. Ownership had changed. Responsibility hadn't. I didn't make a decision right away. I just sat there, letting that imbalance settle into something clear enough to act on. When I finally moved, it wasn't rushed. I removed my payment details from each account, canceled the automatic transfers, closed access where it was shared, clean, complete, no message, no announcement, just stopped. The first week passed quietly. No calls, no questions, which made sense. Nothing had failed yet. Systems like that don't collapse immediately. They hold for a while, running on what's already there. The second week, I thought about whether I should have said something, not out of obligation, just out of habit. But I didn't, because this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a correction. In the third week, the message came, direct, no greeting. Why's the power off? Fix it now. I read it once, then again slower. There was no confusion in it, no hesitation. Just expectation, like nothing had changed, like I hadn't already been removed from the part that mattered most. I set my phone down for a minute before responding, not to think of something better to say, just to make sure I wasn't replying out of habit. When I picked it back up, I typed one line, "It's your house now." I looked at it for a second, then sent it. The reply didn't come immediately. That was new. Usually, responses from her were quick, immediate, confident. This time, there was a gap. When it did come, it was shorter. What does that mean? I didn't elaborate. I didn't need to, because the answer wasn't in my message. It was in everything that had been assumed before it. Later that day, my mother called. I let it ring once, twice, then I answered. "What's going on with the utilities?" she asked. Not accusatory, just unsettled. "I stopped paying them." A pause. "You should have said something." I thought about that. about all the things that had been decided without being said. Then I answered evenly. I think you already did. She didn't respond right away. And for the first time in a long time, the silence between us didn't feel like something I needed to fill. They figured it out. Not immediately, not smoothly, but they did. Payments got transferred, accounts updated, responsibilities shifted. The house didn't fall apart, it just started reflecting who it actually belonged to. I still visit sometimes, not often. When I do, things feel adjusted. Not warmer, not colder, just more defined. No one asks me to check anything anymore. No one assumes I will, and no one brings up what was said that night. But it's still there, not as a wound. More like a line that finally became visible. And once you see it, you stop standing on the wrong side of it.